In this video, we'll take a look at creating an invoice for a client. But before we create the invoice, we'll take a look at a couple things that need to happen to generate the fees that we'll be invoicing for. So as you can see, I'm starting off on the calendar. This is where you set your appointments for all your different clients. I've got one particular client here that we're going to be working with. His name is Joey Turner. So this is an appointment that we scheduled for Joey a week ago. I'm going to go ahead and double click this appointment just to take a look at some of the details. And because this is a recurring appointment with Joey, I'm given this message here on whether I'd like to edit the current occurrence or edit the entire series of appointments. I'm just going to edit this single occurrence, so I'll click this button here. Now I'm looking at the appointment details for Joey, and one of the things I see down here is the service type. So we've got a service type code. We've also got the service type description, in this case a psychiatric diagnostic evaluation, and it does show me what the total is. In TherapyZen, you've got the ability to go into settings and set all of your different service types as well as the accompanying fees for those service types. And when you create an appointment, you can assign the service type being performed for that particular session. I can even click Edit here after the appointment's been scheduled to make changes to the service type as well. I can even change the service type amount manually if I wanted to, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it at $100 just so we're working with a nice rounded off number. So just to reiterate, we've got Joey Turner coming in at 9 a.m. for a diagnostic at $100. I'm going to go ahead and click Cancel. And now I'm going to jump over to the home page, or what we like to call the dashboard. Okay, so now we're on the home page. Imagine your receptionist is at the front desk. He or she is checking in clients as they come in for their appointments, or if you just run a solo practice and you're checking in your clients yourself. As we look at our list of daily appointments, we see Joey is scheduled to arrive at 9 a.m. today. In the appointment details, I see Joey's name, I see who he's here to visit, and I also see some notes that were input for the appointment as well. So we'll say Joey's just arrived. I'm going to come over here to the check-in button, click check-in, and we'll say that Joey kept his appointment, so I'm going to click save. Okay, we get our save confirmation as well as our status there that this appointment was kept for Joey. So what that means now is TherapyZen will now allow you to invoice for that particular service because that appointment was kept and we're assuming that that service was performed. So to create an invoice for Joey, I just simply click on his name to go to his record. As soon as his record loads up, I'll go to Joey's ledger. And as soon as we get to Joey's ledger, one of the first things you notice is he's got $100 uninvoiced. That happens to be that $100 service that was just performed. However, you can see it has not been added to an invoice. Joey does not have any open invoices at this point. He does have one paid invoice, but no open invoices. So let's go ahead and create a new invoice. I'll just simply come up to the top right, click here and go to Create Invoice. Okay, and this is the invoice details screen. The first thing I can do here is I can assign my own manual invoice number, or if I do not, one will be randomly generated. I have an invoice date. I have who the staff member is for this invoice, and then any notes that I'd like to include in this invoice as well. And as I go down to the bottom, services to be invoiced. So if we take a look, we'll see the service date. This is Joey's appointment time. This was the service type. Here was the service rate. Here was the number of units, which will be handy if you go to print a super bill. And the total amount of the invoice listed here finally, which we can also edit if we needed to. If for any reason we needed to add an invoice item, I could just simply click Add Invoice Item and add any type of miscellaneous fee or additional service that I needed to add. In this case, I'm just going to go with the original service that we performed. So I'll go ahead and remove this additional fee. Get a confirmation there and say yes, and it removes it. So I'm happy with everything I see here for the invoice. I'm going to go ahead and say Save Invoice. Click there. Okay, and now if I look at Joey's ledger, I've got an invoice number, an invoice date, a service date. I've got some details about this actual invoice, how much was invoiced, how much we've received for this invoice thus far, which of course is nothing, we just created it, how much we've written off for this invoice, and what the balance is. I see who the staff is, and then I can also edit or print this invoice. So let me go ahead and hit print and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, and here is the invoice, a very simple invoice. Some of the very same information printed in the header. I do have my provider listed here as well. That would be our practice name. And here are the invoice details down below. And from here, I'll be able to email it directly to Joey. I can print it, or I can download a PDF. But in this case, I'll just go ahead and go back to the ledger. And once I get back to the ledger, you can now see that the uninvoiced amount is now 0. I don't have any outstanding services for Joey. They've all been invoiced in one way or another. And his current account balance is now $100. So that's creating an invoice. You saw the series of steps there. We created an appointment. The appointment had a service fee in it based off the service type. When we checked Joey in at the dashboard for his actual appointment, as soon as we give the appointment that status of kept, we're now able to bill for it. TherapyZen will also allow you to bill for an appointment that's been late canceled or a no-show. It'll still bill the same way. An early cancel, however, will not be billed for, meaning that the client called far enough in advance to warrant not being billed for the actual session. So that's creating invoice. You can see it's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And I thank you very much for watching this video.